Social media is a major source of financial information for young people. For example, in the United States, close to half of Gen Z investors said they learned about investing and finance this way. Many Finfluencers break down complex financial jargon into easily understandable concepts. They tell relatable stories about things like clearing credit card debt, and the advice is accessible whenever people need it. But some aren't licensed financial experts. The advice can be just what worked for them, which doesn't necessarily work for everyone. And some have hidden motives, such as selling get-rich-quick schemes. Now, a survey from British bank TSB found that 59% of respondents, so around 6 in 10 who acted on financial advice they got from social media, have since regretted it. Another bank, Barclays, found that more than 40% of people who invested based on social media advice had lost money. The UK's Financial Authority is leading an international crackdown into legal Finfluencers putting consumers' money at risk. There have been several arrests and many posts taken down. And even high-profile celebrities have faced scrutiny over financial promotions. A few years back, Kim Kardashian was fined almost $1.3 million by the US Securities and Exchange Commission for touting a crypto asset on her Instagram page without disclosing that she had been paid to do so. And in the United Arab Emirates, financial influencers now need a license to create certain types of financial content on social media, part of a push to raise standards and protect investors. Well, let's get more on this. Jasmine Birtles is a personal finance expert and founder and director of MoneyMagpie. Jasmine, thanks for joining me. Why do you think that people are trusting internet personalities over conventionally established expert voices?
Well, as you said yourself, we're talking mostly about the youth, the younger people who've been brought up on social media. They take it, they're not really watching television, they're not reading newspapers or magazines. They're getting most of their information from their phones, and in particular from social media. So it makes sense that they would trust those people that they see on a daily basis through their phones and what they say to them. And as you've pointed out, much of the information is given in a very accessible way. It's in bite-sized chunks, it's friendly. Quite often you'll have somebody who's the same age as you, doing the same sort of things as you, and they're saying, oh, I've done this and it's worked, and I've done that and it's worked. So you think, oh, well, if that person's done it, it must be good for me. So it's very easy for them to be influenced, frankly.
Are they oversimplifying what are complicated financial decisions, though?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. I think there's a broad spectrum of influencers. It goes from the mumpreneurs or money-saving mums who do things like cash stuffing, which is a good way of running, budgeting, using cash, having envelopes, and there are some good ideas there. Through to people who say, I put my money into this, and in 6 months I doubled my money. This sort of thing. And that's ridiculous and dangerous, and obviously, well, I say obvious, it's not obvious to everyone, but as far as I'm concerned, obviously should not be followed. So I think, yes, because of the nature of social media, it is bite-sized chunks. It works for some things, particularly the simpler day-to-day budgeting sort of ideas, but when it comes to more complex things, like investing, and most investing is a bit more complex, frankly. Even your basic ISA investing and pensions, there are lots of complexities to it. You can't just say, oh, here you are, here's sort of a 2-second idea, go and do this and make money.
So the UK's Financial Conduct Authority is trying to crack down on this, and we also saw examples of what some other countries are doing. What do you think has to be done to make sure that people's money isn't being put at risk?
Well, it's a very good question, because on the one hand it does sound sensible to do what they're doing in the UAE and actually get people to be licensed, but then there are also quite a lot of sensible people who've been doing this for years, and they might not have a qualification, but they do know what they're saying, they know what they're doing. So it would be difficult in a way to know who should be licensed, who shouldn't, unless it's just financial advisors, in which case people in this country, even older people, are like, oh, financial advisors, and I'm not sure that they would be listened to. However, it would be good for people generally to be educated into how to approach information generally. You know, I mean, what I say to people is take information from different sources, triangulate the information. This is not just financial, but political, news, health. There's information coming at us from all over the place, and just because it's in the mainstream media, for example, doesn't mean that it's true. Just because it comes from our government doesn't mean that it's true, and we learned this during COVID. So why not keep looking at social media, but do it with an open mind and do it with a critical mind and think, well, that might be true, but let's have a look at and see what other people are saying and make your own mind up. I think that's where we're at nowadays with the news generally, and certainly when it comes to money.
Yeah, one thing that is encouraging from this is the fact that young people are becoming engaged with their personal finances. Is this something that perhaps schools should be taking on and teaching people from a young age how to be responsible with this?
Oh, very much so. Gosh, yes. I mean, that was what I was thinking when I was listening to your report. I mean, if we had even basic information being given in schools, proper, sensible information, and frankly, we're all singing from the same hymn sheet. Those of us who are doing our best to teach people properly how to manage their money. There's nothing. There are very few ideas that people have that are different. We're all basically saying the same thing: spend less, save more, invest regularly. You know, this kind of thing. And if we got these basics at school, then it would be much harder for the bad actors to persuade people into the wrong areas. It really is important that we get financial education, and I'm really hoping that it's going to happen in this country soon. It's been talked about for decades, literally decades, and still it hasn't been done. But hopefully it will soon, and more people will come out of school able to function as a proper adult when it comes to their finances.